Hello and welcome to the pitch. The Premier League title race is heating up with the final few weeks of the season upon us. As things stand, we are in for a potentially mouth-watering finish with Arsenal, Liverpool, and Manchester City looking to get a hold of the league trophy. Currently, the Gunners are leading the pack with 64 points, but are only ahead of Liverpool due to a better goal difference. The reigning champion City are also only a point behind Mikel Arteta's team. Not only is the title race enticing, the fight for the Champions League positions is one to keep an eye on as well. Fifth place could potentially be a route to the prestigious competition, and Aston Villa, Tottenham, and Manchester United could be considered rivals in that regard. Unai Emery has surprised many with the job he has done at Villa as they sit fourth in the league table. However, Tottenham and United are not far behind. Ange Postecoglou's open and expansive football has proven to be a relative success in North London. On the other hand, while Eric Ten Hag has struggled to stamp his authority at United, recent results prove that they cannot be counted out. Most teams are set to play the final 10 games of their league campaign after the international break. There will be some juicy encounters as Arsenal visit the Etihad Stadium. Tottenham could also arguably have a big say in who wins the title as they're set to face the current top three in the coming weeks. So, what we have tried to do today is predict the final 10 results of the season. So, let's see who we have as our champions and who we think will make the Champions League spots. So let's start with the we'll start with the top three, I guess.
Yeah, why not?
Currently, Arsenal. So the first uh, significant game is Arsenal versus Manchester City. So let's start with that. Dakir, who do you have winning or potentially losing?
Before I begin, full disclaimer, this prediction that I have here is not based on any analysis or scientific facts. It's mainly just instincts and bias. But yeah, some thought put into it. Obviously, the way the fixtures are, as we know, like Arsenal are in the Champions League still, City are in the Champions League still, so Liverpool are in the Europa League. So there is a lot of fixture changes going on. So some thought put into that. But then again, we are beginning the title run in with Arsenal versus City at the Etihad. And that's a huge game. It's really hard to predict as well because, like a couple of years ago, you would say City would easily win at Etihad against Arsenal. But right now, it feels like Arsenal are capable of going there and putting up a fight and maybe even get 3 points. But for now, I have put in my prediction as like a draw. So both teams sharing a point each, which would be really nice for Liverpool in the race. So yeah. What do you think? I think you have like yeah. What do you think will happen?
I think my prediction is the same because I think over the last few years under Arteta, Arsenal have given Manchester City a tough going, home and away. And I think Mikel Arteta's intense footballing philosophy that he has taken pro probably from a bit from Guardiola, uh, it counteracts what Guardiola tries to do. So, and it makes it difficult for City players to keep a hold of the ball, create chances. They don't have much space in the middle of the park. And now with Declan Rice in the team, Arsenal are better at controlling the midfield. Before, I think Jorginho last season wasn't up to par in doing that, but now Declan Rice, I think, uh, gives the backline more defensive control as well as more control in the middle of the park with his ability on the ball and his recoveries as well. So I think, uh, plus potentially Haaland went off injured in Norway training. So it remains to be seen who comes. Kyle Walker also left the game against who were they playing? England versus
Brazil.
Brazil, yeah, which they lost 1-0. Kyle Walker also only played around 20 minutes of that and then left the pitch with a potential injury. So it will be interesting to see whether Guardiola will have a full strength squad at his disposal. Same for Arteta. But yeah, I think considering the recent trend that has been in this fixture, I would say it is going to be a draw and it'll be advantage Liverpool after that. So
Let's see.
moving on from that, Liverpool have Brighton at home. So uh, even though they've come off the loss against United, I think the international break came at the right time for them. Just regroup and for Klopp as well to just regroup the squad, regroup the team, and then I think they'll be up and ready for the Brighton game. It's at Anfield, so I think they'll win that. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, with Liverpool, you always expect or you always back Liverpool to win the games at Anfield, and I would say it would not be different towards the end of the season. I don't think we particularly have any tricky fixtures at home. Spurs is one. I mean, in the Premier League, every game is tricky, but then right now, the form that they are in, you would expect them to win all the home games. And Brighton have been exciting under De Zerbi, but then they have not been at their usual best recently, have they? So yeah, I would say it will be a win for Liverpool, hopefully.
Brighton have had a few injuries as well in their team, so I think it's understandable that they haven't been their best this season. But I think Liverpool will be too much for them to handle.
Also, Liverpool play like just a couple of hours before Arsenal City game, so it is imperative for them that they win that game and they can like turn
Just
their attention to the
pressure
game.
on and Arsenal with a win.
Yeah,
And then you have Manchester City and Arsenal, yeah.
exactly.
So, so now coming to
Like,
the
oh, yeah.
fixtures, set of fixtures. Arsenal have Luton at home. Luton have punched above their weight this season. No one thought they'd be able to do what they have done so far. They are they are one of the three teams that were promoted to the Premier League. I think most people have had them going down initially, but they are the team that have performed better in terms of the ones that have been promoted to the Premier League this season. So, but still, I don't think they have enough defensively to curtail Arsenal's attack. Arsenal have been scoring a number of goals in almost every game, 3, 4 goals every game recently. They have scored the most, I believe, since the turn of the year, and Kai Havertz has been shining. Uh, Saka has been coming back to his best. Uh, Trossard has been chipping in with goals, even though they have injuries up front. They have decent squad depth up front, and I think they'll easily win that game against Luton at home.
With Arsenal, one thing you have to like sort of comment is how they have goals coming from all parts of the pitch, which I think stands them in good stead going into the final few games of the season. And even if you're talking about the City game, one thing that has been a question mark over City's title winning credentials is that they are leaking goals at the back. They are not as strong as they are known to be this season. While Arsenal have been scoring goals for fun, like you mentioned, like especially since the turn of the year. So yeah, I feel like even in that game there might be a few goals. Like it might be a 2-2 draw or something if you are predicting scores. But then Luton, you would expect it will be a season for Arsenal at home, especially.
Yeah, and that game week, I think Liverpool have Sheffield United at home. I mean, they are one of the three teams that were promoted to the Premier League, and they have disappointed massively. They can't score goals, they can't keep clean sheets, nothing. What did they score in the last fixture? I think it
What
was
was the last question? I mean, did they win recently? It seems,
Sheffield.
yeah.
I don't think so. They lost to
Oh,
Arsenal.
it was a 2-2 draw against Bournemouth in their last game, I think, which is like a decent result by their standards.
which
But
is
then they lost to
yeah,
6-0 to Arsenal. Yeah.
to Arsenal. They've been leaking goals as well. Uh,
They lost 5-0 to Brighton as well. So yeah.
they do not have the best of defenses, so I don't think they can handle Liverpool in Liverpool's current form. So I think that'll be an easy win. Plus, it's at Anfield, so I don't think there's any chance Sheffield United can pull off an upset. Then we have
Aston Villa versus City at
versus
the Etihad Stadium.
will be interesting to be honest, because if we go by the prediction that Arsenal are getting a point at the Etihad, then City will be under pressure, and Aston Villa are not a team to be trifled with. They aren't to be underestimated because Unai Emery has done a fantastic job there. Uh, he plays. I think the high line is key in this fixture. Will be key whether he plays a high line or not. Emery likes to play it, and I think he has one of the highest lines in the Premier League, defensive lines. But uh, consequently, City can exploit that with pace. Haaland, of course, he can go in behind and just score goals. You have De Bruyne who can pick out Haaland with ease. If Villa make uh, uh, a mistake at the back, so but yeah, the offside trap will be important for Villa to pull off, and they have to be disciplined in that if they do play a very high line. On the other hand, City uh, will be it is uh, it is at home, so I would think the crowd will play a part in this. So yeah, but then again, Villa cannot be underestimated because they have quality players in their team. Up front, Ollie Watkins has been on fire. Plus, they have a stable defensive line as well, and I think they will probably lose away at City.
So I think the same too. I mean, the thing is, like we mentioned in the last episode, you would expect all three teams to win most of their remaining games. It's just one or two games here and there that so Aston Villa is going to be tricky for City because Unai Emery is a great manager. Aston Villa are a decent team, but then again, it's a City team at home, so you would expect them to win as well. Yeah.
Then we have Brighton away for Arsenal. So again, I don't think these teams have. I think Arsenal are just on a very good run right now, and I don't think any team will be able to stop them. Any of these mid-table Premier League teams. I think because they have, I don't know, this sort of belief in the Arsenal squad right now that they can win any game, and I think the players and the management believe that themselves as well. So I mean, they even if they are under the cosh, they still manage to find a way to win with last minute goals. So and people coming off the bench scoring like Nketiah, Reece Nelson, you wouldn't expect them to have an impact, but they surprisingly do. And I think that is where Mikel Arteta has done a great job in building this self belief in this team. And I think that is important for them to go on and win the title if they do that.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Brighton away.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think. Yeah, I think Arsenal. It should be an easy win for Arsenal, even if it's like an away game.
Then Liverpool have Man United away.
Old
And
Trafford.
what happened recently? One of the best games of the season, hands down. A 4-3 victory for United. I think they dominated Liverpool for around half an hour before Liverpool got those two goals just before the break. And then after that, it was all Liverpool. I think Jurgen Klopp does something during the halftime. He gives his players some sort of voodoo magic speech, and then they go out and do something and dominate teams. And they did that for almost. I'd like to say there was only like a 5 to 10 minute period in that second half where United actually had the ball and created chances, and I think Liverpool weren't ruthless enough. They took their foot off the gas. They had several uh, great opportunities to bury the game with another goal, but they did not. And then with Anthony scoring just before full time, the game goes into extra time, and then it's anybody's game, honestly. And uh, but you did manage to get another goal, and then you managed to slip that as well, which was surprising, considering how well your defense has been. I think Joe Gomez suffered a bit on the playing right back. I think he has recently played left back and he's done well there. But at right back, I think he was not able to give his best. Kwanzaa was decent. Van Dijk was decent. Uh, but yeah, I think the defense, I think the midfield particularly. I think Endo is someone who shields the back line. And in this game, I feel the midfield was not able to keep a hold of the ball in. I mean, they did keep a hold of the ball for large periods, but when it mattered the most, there were a few, the Darwin Nunez mistake to give Rashford the chance to equalize. I think the midfield is where there were a few errors that led to goal. Otherwise, I think Liverpool would have easily won that game. And then Amad Diallo scores in the final minute. Who could have thought, huh? uh, how are you feeling after? How were you feeling after the game? Were you surprised or just disappointed?
Um, it's a hard one. Like you said, it was like for a neutral, it would have been one of the best games of the season. United versus Liverpool, lots of goals in it, extra time drama and all that. But me personally, I don't think both teams really played that great, to be honest. I mean, Liverpool's best period in the game, they did not even try and score. And all the goals they scored, the three goals they scored, I- it's not like they played and got they just got it. I mean, there were like two deflections and stuff.
Reflection, yeah.
And it felt to me like Liverpool did not want it enough. Seemed the players were casual from the get-go. I'm not sure if it's a coaching thing or if it's a player's mentality thing. And y- like credit to United, but then I just felt it was more about Liverpool not wanting it enough more than United playing hard to get. And if you had asked me what my prediction was for the United away trip before this game, I would have said it would have been a draw or even a loss. But right now, I'm feeling confident we are going to go there and get the 3 points. To be honest, because Liverpool were not at their best, and even that period after the second half, you saw how the difference in quality between the two teams you could see there. If Liverpool wanted, like if Liverpool were at it, they would have just buried the game, like you said. But then they did not, which was disappointing. But I feel like when they go to Old Trafford again, Old Trafford, it is tricky. All respect to United, but then right now with the context of the title race that we are in, I think Liverpool will go there and like get like a solid win. I don't. Like, I'm not usually this confident when it comes to Liverpool, but then right now I have a feeling that Liverpool will go there and get like a solid win, not like a scrappy win, like a solid win.
Well, I think it'll be a draw because I think that Liverpool, that result in the FA Cup has reinvigorated somewhat United season. If they would have lost, they would have had uh, probably nothing to play for, no trophy, and the top four race also seems a bit far-fetched for them at the moment. But I think that's reinvigorated them, given the crowd a bit of belief, given the fans a bit of belief. So I think Old Trafford will be bouncing once again for that fixture. And yeah, considering how United played in the opening half an hour, I think they have the potential. I think Eric Ten Hag is, this season they have this trend of playing well for like 20 minutes, 25 minutes, but then going off the boil. And I think that is where they need to work on, uh, just consistency, really. And yeah, I think they'll get a point and remain in the race for the top four. So who do City play Palace away, and Palace new manager, not really a new manager bounce. They
I mean,
still
they did win their first game or second game, didn't they?
yeah,
Against Burnley, was it? But then they haven't won since.
they yeah, they won against Burnley, but they haven't won since. They drew against Luton as well. So and it was a last minute goal from Luton that
Yeah.
gave them a point. Yeah, City are just on a roll right now, so I wouldn't expect them to at this stage of the season. City are always one of the teams that find a way to win. I mean, even if
Yeah.
they play well, they find a way to win somehow, and that is what I believe will happen at Selhurst Park as well. Moving on, Arsenal have Villa at home. Uh, Again, Villa have some tough fixtures in the final few weeks, and this is once again one of the top threes. Uh, Again, it's just Arsenal being Arsenal. I think they will find a way to win at home against. I think playing at home is a big factor. Aston Villa, while they have been great this season. Uh, there have been a few results that have gone not gone their way, and I think there are times that they are unable to play their game, and that is where they falter. Also, Ollie Watkins, while he has been great, he wasn't great for England uh, on the weekend against Brazil. So it will be interesting to see if that affects his confidence going into these final few games of the season. But again, I think Arsenal will get a win at Villa as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. My prediction for the game is an Arsenal win as well. But then when I Emery returning to the Emirates with a point to prove is like a story in itself. So it will be a tight game, at least according to me. I think it will be interesting. There might be, I mean, yeah, Villa can be positive about their chances of getting a point, or three maybe. But right now, with the form that Arsenal are in, it is hard to overlook them. So I would say an Arsenal win a game as well. Yeah.
Then Liverpool face Palace at home.
Yeah.
Again, Liverpool, Palace, one of those teams that uh, potentially are safe. They are uh, I think, 7 points ahead of Luton, who are in 17th. Or let me see. Yeah, so they are 7 points ahead of Luton, and
Mhm.
I think they'll manage to keep their place in the Premier League for next season. And that's the thing with teams that do not have much to play for towards the end of the season. Uh, so I don't think there's really enough motivation in that Palace side with the managerial change to do anything. And Liverpool have everything to play for right now. So yeah, I'll give it to Liverpool, 3 points.
And it's at Anfield as well. So yeah, you would expect them to. City play Luton at home.
Yes, City versus Luton again. Uh, I know Luton have a lot to play for. They have the chance to remain in the Premier League. Their fight for survival is will be interesting to see whether they can. And with the recent points deduction to Everton and Forest,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, I think it'll be close at the bottom of the table. And yeah, but still, Do Luton have the quality? I think they can pull off an upset, but that's a big if against Manchester City at the Etihad. Hmm, I don't think so. So I think City cruise past Luton.
One interesting thing that could work in favor of Luton is the fact that the game is sandwiched between the Champions League quarterfinals against Real Madrid. So they play at Santiago Bernabeu first and then come back to Etihad.
Yeah,
And this game against Luton at home is sandwiched between the two. If, like, depending on the result in Spain, in Madrid, there might be chances for Luton to cause an upset. But then again, we can't predict it until we know the result of the game. And even if we know the result of the game, if City lose to Madrid, you would feel like, oh, they're gonna blow Luton out of the water. So we cannot be sure, but right now you just think City are gonna win that game as well, even though Luton have something to play for.
but even if they win convincingly, I don't think they'll make a lot of changes for the Luton game because Guardiola doesn't make a lot of changes. I think he'll go with the full strength squad, and I think over the last few years they have built up a. They're just used to it now, playing the Champions League quarterfinals, semi-finals, and then sandwiched between the Premier League. So they have the know-how to manage these games, and I think they'll and they have the squad depth as well. I mean, even if Haaland doesn't play, you have Julian Alvarez who can play up front. So they have enough talent in their squad to manage a side like Luton, I think.
I agree. Fair point.
And then we have Wolves away for Arsenal. Now, Gary O'Neill has done a brilliant job. Nobody had them staying in the league, let alone in the top 10. They've done, they are what, 41 points? They could be, yeah, they're in the race for the Conference League at least. So that could be
Yeah.
something that would be interesting for Wolves, who could be back in Europe. I think, who was it? I think when they had Nuno, didn't they make it to the uh, one of the European competitions or no?
They did. I think they did.
They
Did
did
they?
play in the Europa League, didn't they?
Wait, let me confirm.
I think they did when Ruben Neves was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they were in the Europa
So yeah,
League.
I think they did play in 1920 season. Yeah.
Yeah. So, uh, why did people not see them remaining in the Premier League? It's surprising to me. They have enough quality in their side
I
to.
think it was a fact that Lopetegui left, and it was Gary O'Neill who came in. And Gary O'Neill, when he came in, did not have like, profile, like a huge
He did
profile as a
keep
manager.
Bournemouth up, so he did have some sort of pedigree to keep a team in the Premier League.
Yeah, they did. But then, yeah, I guess people sort of underestimated him, I guess.
Yeah, and also they did not make a lot of signings in that summer window, so which could be also be a reason why a lot of people had them going down. But it's paid off for them, so yeah.
But then, do you think Wolves at home at Molineux can cause an upset against Arsenal?
There is a chance. I mean, you cannot count anything out, but again, Arsenal, they just have something this season. Over the last two seasons, they Mikel Arteta, for everything, for all the criticism he has received for his fist pumping, copying Klopp, I think he's done a good job at that. So I don't know. I think, yeah, there is a chance there could be an upset, but I predict that Arsenal will win.
Again, like we talked about the City Luton thing, this game comes after a trip, the second leg trip to Munich. And I feel like there will be some sort of, I mean, what the result is in that Champions League game might have an impact on what this, like how this game goes as well. So again, those things we'll have to see how it pans out as we go.
The thing is, if they win against Bayern, that'll give them even more confidence to just go and win the Premier League. and if they lose, that gives them motivation. Uh,
I mean, yeah, those are the things that sort of test their mentality, right? Like if you win, how do you approach the next game against a team like Wolves away from home? If you take it lightly, that shows you are not good enough to be champions. If you go there and get like a solid win, even if it's a 1-0 win, it shows that okay, you are like you are there mentally to be champions as well. So those are the things that Arsenal will have to deal with, considering they have been trying to win the title for 20 odd years now. So yeah.
Mentality is a big side of just winning titles. And last season they fell short, but I think this season they have brought in a few characters into their team, and I think they've also learned from their mistakes from last season. So yeah, I think they'll be in the running for the league title, and I think they'll just win against Wolves easily. Uh, uh, and then who do Fulham? Fulham have no, Liverpool have Fulham away. Fulham recently beat Tottenham 3-0, but again, they could cause an upset, but I have Liverpool winning it.
Here is where it gets tricky for Liverpool in the running. So the second leg of their Europa League clash against Atlanta is an away game. So you have that at the beginning, and then you have three consecutive away games in the Premier League, and two of them is trips to London with Fulham and West Ham, and a trip to Goodison Park sandwiched in between. So three tricky away fixtures, and I would think this is where Liverpool would drop points. I would not be surprised if Liverpool dropped points in two of those games, even if I'm a Liverpool fan. But in my predictions, I'm a bit more optimistic, and I have just said, oh, okay, they might they'll get a draw against Everton at Goodison. Everton are not in the best form or condition of their history, but it is Everton. It's Goodison Park in a Merseyside derby, sandwiched in between a bunch of tricky every game. So that is a game that I have put down as a draw for Liverpool. Fulham, I would still hope that Liverpool win, but then Fulham away has been tricky for Liverpool in the past, and Marco Silva's team is they are a good team as well. So I would not be surprised if that ended up being a draw as well. But then right now, I win. Hopefully.
Has the date been decided for the Everton game?
Yeah, so it came out this weekend and it is sandwiched between the Fulham and West Ham trips, and the date is 24th of April.
That is tricky, huh?
Yeah, so it's I think between 21st and 27th, you have three away games in the Premier League, which can make or break Liverpool season.
So Manchester City versus Spurs. I think the fixture has been postponed because of City's FA Cup, the semi-final fixture against Chelsea, but still, uh, it's away. The last time they played at home against Spurs, they drew 3-3. And I think this is the game where City will slip up. And I have predicted a loss. And I've predicted a loss because I think it'll be an open and expansive game, an exciting game, end-to-end stuff with the Postecoglou style of play. But I think they have the ability to give City a lot of issues, especially in the middle of the park, because as we've seen in recent weeks, City are not the best when there is pressure on the ball in the midfield, and they struggle sometimes to create chances and just control the game in general, like they usually do. So yeah, I think Spurs will win this game, and it'll be also and it's also it's also important for them to win this because they are in the race for the top four. So they arguably want to make it to the Champions League for next season under Ange. So I think they'll have that motivation. Plus, it's at home. So I give Tottenham the edge over City.
I think it's interesting we are on the same page with this one because I have gone for a Spurs win against City as well. There are a few things I think, like a lot of what you already covered. One thing is the game has not, a date has not been set for the game. It is already late in the season, and now
Yeah,
it feels like it is going to be squeezed somewhere in like the final few games. And if City qualifies for the semi-final of the Champions League, then again there are like a few games coming up for them in like quick succession and towards the end of the season. So that is one thing. The game being away is another. And again, Spurs under Postecoglou play expansive football, like you have already said, and they play like a certain brand of football, which is really exciting. And it feels like they will take the game to City, which not a lot of Premier Leagues do these days. And again, they are in the race for the top four towards the end of the season. There's a lot on the line for both teams. And that is why I feel like this is a game where City will slip up, like you said. And to me, that is going to be the only game that City will lose in the run-in. But that also might be the one that
proves to be
is, yeah,
good.
decisive
Yeah.
for their hopes. Yeah.
So now Arsenal have Chelsea. Let me see. Arsenal play Chelsea after that. So now Chelsea have been an interesting team this season. Pochettino was supposed to be the revolutionary with a young team, be able to bring the best out of the squad, which Potter was unable to do last season. But even he has struggled, and I think uh, it stems from the management, from the top to the bottom. I think their struggles are more on their mismanagement from the ownership rather than how Pochettino is actually running the club. Now, you could argue with a different manager, they could be better, but Tuchel was there, Potter was there, and now Pochettino. All three of them have been unable to bring the best out of this side under the new ownership. And I think that's where the problem lies first and foremost. But then again, Pochettino has a lot of blame to take as well with how he's setting up the team. But I also feel sorry for him in a way because the only position that is nailed on in the Chelsea starting 11 is the middle of the park with Enzo, Caicedo, and Gallagher. And even those three, I think Gallagher has been the best, but he's not uh, done anything special. And Enzo and Caicedo are still trying to fit into the Premier League, trying to fit into the Chelsea squad. While Caicedo has done a few, while Caicedo's performances have gone up, I think Enzo is still figuring out how to play in this Chelsea squad, what position is best for him. So I think there are a few things that Pochettino still needs to fix in the middle of the park, but that still is the position where he's best set because up front they do not have three. I don't think you can apart from Cole Palmer, there aren't uh, any other forwards you'd say are nailed on to start for them. Similarly, in the defense, they've had injuries to Reece James consistently. And while Malo Gusto has done well, so credit to him. So that's sort of uh, nullified the fact that James isn't there. But then the centre backs, I think Thiago Silva is showing his age this season. Disasi, uh, again, a disaster. Not, I think that's unfair on him a bit, but then yeah, Disasi hasn't been what I think a lot of people thought he would be for Chelsea. Now, Levi Colwill, again, he's been playing left back, he's been playing centre back, and Pochettino is still trying to figure out what position is best for him. Who else? Trevor Chalobah hasn't been playing, and then at left back, they have Marc Cucurella. who has failed to live up to the potential at Chelsea, and then Chilwell, who has also had his fair share of injury issues. So yeah, I think Pochettino has a lot of issues in his squad currently, and I think going to the Emirates at a time where Arsenal are have something to fight for. I don't think Chelsea can. Would Chelsea want to be in the Conference League? I think that's the best they can hope for right now. But would they want to be in the Conference League? I know it's a European competition, but for a team like Chelsea, I mean, I don't think they'd want to play the Conference League, to be honest. But then it's still a European competition, so yeah. But I think they will not have enough to beat Arsenal, so I give it to Arsenal.
Yeah, you put it well with what Chelsea's situation is right now. Uh, like we have talked about it before, about how the management, the hierarchy, everything is a bit all over the place at Chelsea right now. So it is, even if I think Tuchel is a good manager, I think Potter is a good manager, I think Pochettino is a decent manager as well. But when things are as all over the place as it is at Chelsea right now, I think any good tactician will find it hard to find the right formula for their team, and that is, I think, been Pochettino's problem at Chelsea. And he has been having a lot of injury issues as well, which is not uh, helped his cause. But I feel like Chelsea have shown glimpses of what they could be, because they have, I think they have a decent squad with a few good young players sprinkled around. And it could be a matter of them clicking at some point under a new manager, possibly. And if they can like sort their problems behind the scenes as well. But I think it's interesting that Chelsea have taken points of Liverpool, Arsenal, and City this season. They drew against City on both occasions. They lost pretty heavily to Liverpool on one occasion, but then they did get a point. Same with Arsenal. So this is going to be their last game against the top three. And it might be an interesting game, but again, at this point, it is hard to overlook Arsenal not taking the 3 points at home. So I'm going for it, Arsenal as well.
Chelsea are inconsistent, but they're also unpredictable. So yeah, you
Yeah.
would, you could, I mean, you could say they have a chance of getting a point there, but I think Arsenal will win it. Liverpool have Everton at Goodison. You mentioned that game. Uh, Now Everton have a lot to fight for. They have they're in a relegation battle basically, and once again, they have the quality in their team. I think they have a world-class shot stopper in Jordan Pickford. I mean, for whatever you think about him, I think last season he was the one who ensured that they stayed up in the Premier League with some of his saves. And I think, yeah, again, uh, but it's Liverpool and it's the Merseyside derby. Liverpool have the title to play for, while Everton have survival hopes to play for. But I don't think Liverpool will slip up in this game, at least. I know you have a different opinion, so yeah.
Yeah, I'm putting it down as a draw for you. Like, yeah, point shared. Hopefully not, but then, yeah. I mean, to be fair, that is the only game I have put down for Liverpool to draw points, which is a bit too optimistic, but then let's see.
Yeah. So then Manchester City have Brighton away. Again, City, if they have Chelsea, I think before that, before the yeah,
To Brighton.
before the Brighton game.
Chelsea, yeah,
No,
Chelsea in the FA Cup
Manchester
semi-final, isn't
have
it?
Chelsea before the Brighton game. So I think again, Brighton, we've talked about them, brilliant team, but then they have their injury issues. De Zerbi hasn't been able to get the best out of the team this season. So yeah, I have it down as a City win.
Okay. We have discussed about the Brighton situation. They are a good team. They can be tricky, but at this point, against teams like City and Liverpool and Arsenal, I would not expect them to cause an upset right now. So I'm going for a City win as well in that one.
Now, after the Chelsea game, Arsenal have the North London derby to look forward to, and it's away at Spurs. So again, Ange Postecoglou's style of play seems to be tricky for the big teams to handle for some reason. Again, he in the last fixture got a draw against Arsenal, 2-2 draw away from home in the Premier League. And again, I think Postecoglou has this one set specific style of play that is in the faces of the opposition constantly, attacking football. I think that gives them that uh, poses a few problems for them defensively. But yeah, with Van de Ven and Christian Romero, they have done a decent job so far to not leak as many goals as one would have predicted them to or expected them to. So yeah, but yeah, this fixture is where I think Arsenal will face a lot of issues because it's away, because it's a North London rival. Spurs fans do not want to see Arsenal lifting the trophy for obvious reasons, and I think the crowd will be up for it. The team will be up for it, and it's two managers whose style of play clash against each other. So yeah, I think it'll be a draw this game.
Fair argument. But for some reason, I feel like Arsenal away to Spurs will be a win for Arsenal, but I also feel like it might be where they lose the title. As in, so my thinking again, we talk a lot about mentality, and Arsenal last season fell short, but it feels like they are like champion material right now with their mentality. But this game is a North London derby. It there's a lot riding on it always, and it's and towards the end of the season as well. So to be able to beat Spurs at their home will give great joy to the Arsenal fans. And right now, I feel like they might get a bit carried away by that result, especially if it's like a last minute winner or something. They might get carried away by that and then go on to slip up some points in the remaining games. So that's the sort of feeling that I get right now. But that might be based on past experiences of Arsenal, like last season's experience. This season's Arsenal are different from last season, so I could be very much wrong. But I am putting it down as a win for Arsenal right now. But then it could end up being bad for them as well. So let's see.
Interesting. So Liverpool have West Ham away. Uh, West Ham this season in the Conference League. No, are they in the Europa League? I think.
Are they were in the Europa League. Yep, Europa League. Yep.
Yeah, they're in the Europa League,
They're
and
playing Leverkusen in the quarter, right?
yeah, they have Leverkusen, which will be. I'd say Leverkusen will win that game, but then again, you never know. Leverkusen recently have been leaking goals and then finding ways to win in the final minutes with comeback wins. So, but yeah, West Ham under Moyes this season have played more defensively, and that has irked a lot of their fans. But it's been getting them results recently, and they won the Conference League last season. So Moyes, I think Moyes knows what he's doing at the club, and they have. I think they have the quality in their team to play a certain way, but then Moyes decides to just rather than playing beautiful football, he'd rather get the result. And recently, he has been getting those results. The Villa game, I think they were unlucky not to win that, even though they do not dominate teams. They still have quality players up front in Kudus to make something happen. And yeah, but still, I don't think. Uh, I think they'll try to park the bus against Liverpool, but then Liverpool have enough quality in their attack to score goals. So I give it to Liverpool.
That's a good point that you made about West Ham and how they play under Moyes. They can be tricky even to big teams like Liverpool and likes. But so one interesting thing about this game is this game was supposed to be played on at a later time that weekend. But after the fixture changes with Everton game coming up, for some reason they have brought it back to a 12:30 kickoff on Saturday, which Klopp absolutely hates. I think Liverpool have played more 12:30 Saturday kickoffs than any other Premier League team this season. And it also sometimes tend to be tricky for Liverpool, those games. So, like I mentioned before, you have four heavy games on the trot, and the final one being a Saturday 12:30 kickoff against West Ham at their home is going to be tricky. I would not be surprised if it ended up being a draw and Liverpool drop points that day. But again, uh, I am being optimistic right now, positive right now, by saying that Liverpool will get the win, like somehow by hook or crook. I don't know, but then it's a win.
Okay, so then Man City have Forest, another team fighting a relegation battle. They were recently deducted points. Uh, it's away for City, so I think these final few weeks are always tricky for if you're playing teams who are fighting for survival in the league. But again, I think they have a bit of quality. Forest with Morgan Gibbs White and the likes, but still, I think City towards the end of the season, City always find a way to win. So yeah, I give it to City.
Do you think them facing the points deduction recently will change how they approach or like sort of give them like some more motivation to fight hard? You would think they would feel hard done by the points reduction at this point of the season, and it being against City adds a different context to it because I would think, oh, Everton and Nottingham Forest will feel it life has been unfair to them when City have like 116, 115 charges against them and nothing is being done about it, and they are facing points reduction while they're already in a relegation battle. So I'm wondering, will that sort of play into the context of the game, especially to that late in the season? It'll be interesting, but again, it's just me being hypothetical. On paper, you would expect City to get the win without any sort of trouble. So yeah, it's a City win, but then I'm just putting it out there.
Didn't I think Everton found some wind under their sails when they were deducted points at the start of the season. So uh, yeah, that I mean, if you feel hardened by, you will want to prove everybody else wrong. But then again, City aren't the opposition that you would expect them to get points from. So yeah,
A
and
late Divock Origi goal to give Forest the win would be great.
uh, then Arsenal have Bournemouth at home. Bournemouth again a mid-table side. They've done well not to be in that relegation battle this season, and I think, uh, but still, I don't think they'll pose a threat to Arsenal. It'll be a win for them.
It's the same for me as well. Bournemouth have been impressive under Anthony Iraola, but again, you would not think Bournemouth have what it takes to sort of take points off Arsenal at that point of the season. So Arsenal win.
Then Liverpool, Spurs at home, Anfield. Now, I've been talking about how Spurs play expansive football and how they pose issues to top tier opposition. But when it comes to Liverpool, I think if Tottenham stick to that high line, I think across the front line, Liverpool have a lot of pace to punish them. Salah, Nunez, Luis Diaz. I don't if and then you have McAllister in the midfield who can pick out passes. You have Salah who can pick out brilliant passes. So I think and with I mean, Liverpool do not play direct football, but it's sort of fast-paced, their build-up, and I think that the high line will suit Liverpool a lot, and I think they'll just have too many opportunities for Spurs to do anything. Yeah, and defensively also, Liverpool, while the United game was an anomaly, they have been decent recently despite the injuries, and I think, yeah, I think Liverpool can fend off Spurs easily.
Again, it might be an exciting game. I think it will be an exciting game because Spurs and Liverpool play a very exciting brand of football. That will be exciting to see. And Liverpool have the title to play for, Spurs have the top four to play for. And I don't know, like at least to Liverpool fans, there will be the context of the game between the two sides earlier on the season, the 2-1 win for Spurs with the offside issue and all that for so Liverpool that might add into the context for Liverpool. And again, it being at Anfield is the biggest reason for me to put it down as a Liverpool win. But I think it'll be an exciting game for neutrals at least.
Man City have Wolves at home. Now, for every good thing Gary O'Neill has done, I think it's too much to ask them. It's too much to ask for them to actually take points from City, especially away from home. Despite them being in the race for the European positions, I don't think. I think Wolves are secure at this point with where they are in the table, and yeah, that I think they'll play a huge part in the motivation to from the City players to actually go on and win the title versus for Wolves players. I mean, how much? I mean, what do they actually have to play for at this point in the season towards the end of it? Maybe a European place, but I think there's too much on the line for City to be losing these sort of games. So I think they'll win it.
Yeah, it's the same for me. Wolves have done well for what the expectations were of them. But again, it's at the Etihad against City. It's an easy City win for me.
Then Arsenal versus United away from home at Old Trafford. Ah, Eric Ten Hag, my bro. Now, he's a peculiar character. I mean, he hasn't been able to stamp his style of play at United since coming there. And I think he's tried to bend his ways to United rather than bending United to his ways. And that is where he has struggled, I think. Uh, but still, I think they have a lot to play for, despite not being one of the teams in the top four right now. They still have a chance to make it to the Champions League places. And I think Eric Ten Hag will also feel the pressure right now because with the new ownership, his job could be on the line if they don't finish the season on a high note. They have the FA Cup, but then uh, even if they get past Coventry, which I think they should do, which most people will predict them to do. Uh, they potentially have City or Chelsea in the final. They'll potentially have them, and I think it'll be City probably, and it'll be a repeat of last season's FA Cup final. And United weren't really able to stop City from winning the treble last season, so yeah, I think making the top four is the best chance they have of finishing the season on a high note, and I think they'll try their best to do that. And plus, Arsenal, one of United's eternal rivals, alongside Liverpool. Plus, it's at Old Trafford, so I have predicted it to go down as a draw. So I think Arsenal will drop 2 points.
Right. So I have gone for a United win. Arsenal loss, 0 points for Arsenal. Basically, the thinking behind it is like, remember when I told you about Spurs, them winning against Spurs and then getting carried away by it? Old Trafford might be where it gets tested and it comes back to haunt them because It is the penultimate game of the season away at Old Trafford. This like that is when your mentality is tested to the limits. And I mean, like they could prove me wrong, but right now I feel like it might be too much of an occasion for them, and they might end up slipping up and lose the game in the process, and might give a boost to United stock or hopes in the process. So yeah, it was for Arsenal. That's for us.
Liverpool's penultimate game is against Villa away. Now Villa have a lot to play for. They have the Champions League to look at, and Unai Emery, while he was at Arsenal, was in a similar situation where Arsenal were in the top four, but then they slipped up and then finished outside the top four, outside the Champions League places. And while Villa have done extremely well to be where they are right now, to sustain that, you need a lot of, I think you need more than uh, just general quality in the squad. You need depth, and with them playing against, I think it's Lille in the in the Conference League, uh, and then potentially going further into that competition. If they do, they will have a lot of games coming up, and yeah, I think their squad depth will be tested, and I think Liverpool have enough quality in their team to basically win it, or even if it's away from home.
Yep, Villa away from home in Liverpool's penultimate game is a tricky thing to do. And like you mentioned, for like Villa, they have the Europa Conference League to consider, and Liverpool have the Europa League semi-finals to potentially consider as well. So all those sort of things will be interesting to see, because if they're if they do end up qualifying for the semi-finals, Liverpool will probably have to face Spurs, Aston Villa, sandwiched between those games. So all those sort of things we'll have to see how it goes. But Europa League is different from the Champions League. The opponents are not as tricky. So you would expect Liverpool would be able to manage those challenges. And since it is towards the end of the season, I would still expect Liverpool to win against Aston Villa.
Yeah. Now City play Fulham in their penultimate game away from home. Now again, Fulham, one of those mid-table sides who don't really have anything to play for towards the end of the season. They are safe from the relegation battle. Uh, and while Marco Silva would have liked to be uh, much nearer to the European places, I think they'll be satisfied with a mid-table finish if they get it this season. And yeah, City have the league title to play for. So yeah, it's a win for them, for me, in my books.
I think it's interesting that all three teams play away from home in their penultimate game, and I think the kickoff might be the same time if I'm not wrong, which might be really exciting to see, because United Arsenal is obviously huge, but then Aston Villa and Fulham can be tricky to those teams, especially away from home. So it would be interesting to see how all those sort of things play into the title race towards the end of the season. But again, on paper, I would expect City to beat Fulham away from home, even if it's away from home.
Now for the final game of the season for the three teams that we're mentioning right now, it's Everton for Arsenal. Now Everton, it's it'll be interesting to see where they are in the table by that time, and if they are in and around the relegation zone, or if if Everton are potentially going to go down, uh, then I think this game will probably be easier for Arsenal to win. If by that time Everton are just uh, uh, if by that time Everton will just be one of the teams confirmed to go down, it'll be easier for Arsenal to manage them. But if a win or a draw could be decisive in Everton's chances for survival, by that at that point, I think it will be tricky. But then again, at the Emirates with the potential of winning the title at the Emirates after uh, after a massive Premier League drought for Arsenal. I think it'll be a massive occasion, and I'll be surprised if Arsenal drop the points. So yeah, I think I have Arsenal winning the final game.
Yep, that is something we'll have to see over the next few weeks because where Everton will be on the table at that point in time could determine how the game is. Because I don't think Everton will be confirmed to go down at that point. It is either they will be safe enough to avoid relegation or they might be facing a risk. So if that is the case, if they are in a situation where they do not know if they're going down or not, again they will put all on the line. Sean Dyche will bring his A game to the Emirates, and then that makes it interesting because again, it will test Arsenal's mentality and credentials as champions. So, but even then, I'm playing it safe, saying going for an Arsenal win at the Emirates in the final game of the season.
Yeah. So Liverpool have Wolves. Again, Wolves done brilliantly, but not really anything to play for. Liverpool have Liverpool could potentially win the title on that final day, and yeah, I think it's at Anfield as well, which will be interesting. So I have it going to Liverpool, all 3 points.
Same. Liverpool at Anfield in the final game of the season against Wolves. Yeah, I don't see why Liverpool would
Not
not
just
win that.
Liverpool's Klopp's final game.
Yeah,
That
that's true.
that
Yeah.
is going to be one of the biggest determining factors, I think, in the run-in towards the end of the season. I think Klopp leaving has to be a big factor for motivation for these players.
Yep. You
And
said it.
the City have West Ham at home. Again, they could possibly win it at home if results go their way uh, in the other fixtures. So yeah, I think I will give it to City in this game.
Yep. I'm predicting a City win as well.
Hmm.
But I think, yeah, okay, 89. Yeah, I think the title might, yeah, out of City's reach by the final game, going by my predictions, which is
So,
interesting. But then let's see.
so where does that leave us? So right now Arsenal are at 64 points, Liverpool at 64, and City at 63. So with the results I have given Arsenal, I think they'll finish at 88 points. City also finish at 88 points, but because I think Arsenal will have a better goal difference, they'll be second. So Manchester City are third, and I have Liverpool winning the title with 92 points.
Wow. Uh, so it is inter I think the last episode, I think I predicted City will finish second, but going by my predictions, Arsenal are set to finish with 89 points, and City are set to finish with 88 points, just one short. So City to finish third, and Liverpool to win the league with 92 points. I think that might be a bit too optimistic. I feel like it might be 90 with like a really photo finish towards the end because I feel like Liverpool might end up having another draw somewhere. I could be wrong. That Liverpool could like mess it up as well. I don't know, but then I could feel it might be 90 points to win the title. Whoever is winning, 90 points might be the bar they have to go for. But right now, this is how it looks.
So yeah, we both have Liverpool winning, Arsenal second, and City third, huh? That's great.
I don't think we have gone for any crazy predictions. Just the few tricky games that we have put down for the teams to drop points here and there.
Yeah, I think the Spurs City one might uh, be something that a lot of people will look at because I have predicted City to lose that game. So yeah,
Just to see, especially when that game will fall.
yeah.
You have to sit back and see. Yeah.